So today I'll be speaking at the Clark County Regional Center with another guest by the name of John Ritter, who actually owns the Grove Dispensaries. They currently have one in Las Vegas and one in Pahrump. I'm a business owner in town. I have a couple of businesses. Some of them you may know. I own a couple of tropical smoothies. Center Mass Brass, which is a brass manufacturing for manufacturing bullets. I have a factoring company, which I buy medical liens for personal injury. So how I got started in cannabis was I was sitting one night with a guy in New York. I was in New York. I was sitting with a guy by the name of Jack Thriller. He does all the interviews for 50 Cent. So I'm sitting in the office with 50 Cent and Jack Thriller. A good friend of mine calls me up and says, hey, they're about to start the medical marijuana program in Las Vegas. I think that you should join. And I said, well, that sounds good, but the feds don't like this program. And so what I did was, I promised them, I said, listen, when I come home, I have a couple of attorney friends in the personal injury side for the lien company. And I went to him and basically said, hey, what's going on? Are you guys, what's the deal with the medical marijuana? And there were like maybe 3 or 4 attorneys that said, hey, we're gonna take a stab at it. I had a grandmother who died of cancer, and I saw the struggle that she had, the pain she was in. And sitting there one day, it was like she was tapping me on the shoulder going, you may not be able to cure someone, but you can help their level of pain. The candies may take someone who has cancer and have a level of 10 pain that day and may give them a level of 3. So I thought to myself, well, maybe this might be good. Maybe this might be on a level of helping them improve their quality of life.
Whatever, having the lounges in the dispensary or off the strip or on the strip. So what is you guys' take on that? Are you supportive of that if it comes through? Would you fight for it or no?
I get really frustrated because the meeting I went to was like, hey, listen, the consumption lounges should only be for dispensary owners. I don't think that's right. This is America the last time I checked. I feel like if you have the wherewithal to basically go out and create a lounge and you can follow the rules and regulations and do everything, you should be able to apply for that license as well. We definitely need them. I think we should be able to open it up for all.
So a lot of cannabis and cannabis products are being sold, but you can't smoke them anywhere. But it's obviously being smoked. And then I called our attorney and said, hey, I leased the space next to us for a consumption lounge. And he said, you have got to be freaking kidding me that you would consider doing this. Consumption lounges don't have any legal protection baked into the law. So I agree with Larry that we've got to figure this issue out and figure out some place for people to legally smoke, unless you really want the tourists that are consuming marijuana to break the laws that you set up.
In particular, I'm a cancer survivor. I suffer from chronic illness as well. Like, I've always been intrigued by this. I've never actually walked into a business, but if that was the case for the person, what would the process be like to find a product?
In all dispensaries, you have to come into a waiting area, essentially, and between you and the dispensary itself, where the product is, there's a locked door, and you have to check in. Recreational patients, all they have to do is show an ID that they're 21 years or older. Medical patients, as I mentioned, go through a whole process to get their card. What we do is one-on-one. So you're in the waiting room. When we have a bud tender that's ready to work with you, that bud tender comes to the door, opens it up, calls your name, you go into the door, and they're with you until the point of sale. That's just the way we run it. Some dispensaries you go in just like any other store and you kind of walk around and there'll be bud tenders that'll answer your questions. We like the one-on-one approach.
Yeah, but for us, one of our protocols would be that when we handed off the product to him, to his dispensary, we're going to be able to let him know, hey, this particular strain is good for this, this, and this. Whatever the symptoms are that you have, we have 17 different strains, I think, that we're coming to market, and stuff that no one has in the market. That was another thing about coming out slow, is that we got to see what the market was and see what everyone has. Everyone has Gorilla Glue number 4. Okay, well, let's come out with this. Let's come out with the Red Dragon, something that those guys smoked back in the 60s.
And then these are some of our edibles. So this is Nice Krispies and Blazing Trail Bar, or brownies of all kinds of different flavors. These are gummies, which I mentioned are our best seller. This is we don't make chocolate bars. We will probably pretty soon, but that's a chocolate bar. These are mints. Chiba Chews. This is a kind of an old school edible. It tastes like marijuana.
It's always nice to speak to young entrepreneurs or people who want to go into business. This class was fun for me because they were curious. My goal was to give them an outlet just to let them know that a young cat like me from the west side of Las Vegas could do something so big and do it naturally and organically.